Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're just going to wait a few minutes until we start to wait for more people to attend. So just hang tight, but we are going to get started in a minute. Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started shortly. We're just waiting for a few more people to sign on, and then we'll kick things off. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Talia Salem. I'm your organizer for today. Thank you for joining Destination Marketing in the COVID Age. This is the second part in a two-part webinar. We will be recording today's webinar. If you want to reference back to it or send it out to other people, it will be recorded and we'll share the recording as a follow-up here. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the question box, the chat box, or raise your hand and I can unmute you. And we've also left some time at the end to answer any questions. Hi, everyone. So you can see me now. I'm Talia. Okay, so before we get started, I'd like to pass it over to Megan for a word from our sponsor and hear a little bit more about their efforts.
Hi. So just on behalf of Eagle Mind, I'd like to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. We've had the pleasure to work with Talia and the team at the Center for Responsible Travel, or CREST, on a program with the community of Big Bay here in town. So we're excited to have Talia here to share her expertise with all of us. This series is a part of our Eagle Mind's Rockin' Local campaign to support small businesses and entrepreneurs with the economic recovery efforts related to COVID. So if anyone has any ideas on how Eagle Mind or Accelerate UP can better support the business community, please reach out and let me know. And I hope you find value in today's session, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Megan, and for all your support to the small business community during this hard time. Hi, so for those of you who didn't join last time, I'm Talia Salem. I'm the principal of the Urban Nomad, and I'm also a consultant with the Center for Responsible Travel. Like Megan said, I've been working with the community of Big Bay for a little bit less than a year now on tourism marketing efforts there. I've been working in content and social media and travel marketing for a little over 14 years. And prior to starting my own consulting company, I worked for Brand USA, which is the United States Tourism Board, essentially everything that was visittheusa.com. Just to share a little bit of the agenda today, we'll be talking just very briefly about the first webinar and what we covered. But today's main purpose is to talk about online reviews and third-party platforms. We'll be going over high-level Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Facebook, and a little bit on virtual tours. This is going to be a very packed agenda, so I just want to let you know that I will be providing 2 different handouts in the next few days to provide you with more resources. Today's goal is not to get you to sign up for those platforms, it's just to let you know more about those different platforms and how you can use them and why you should be using them. The handouts will actually take you through step by step. This is how I set up an online business listing. This is how I claim my business listing. So we're not going to spend time on that today. So last time, if you attended, we talked a little bit about the 5 W's of tourism marketing, who you're talking to, what kind of content you're saying, the marketing channels you're talking to them on, which is actually what we're talking about today, the timing, the goals, the process, and how you would adapt all of this to the COVID audience. That's recorded and it'll be sent as a follow-up to you if you haven't already received it. I did also create a handout for you all to provide you with a lot more detailed information, a little bit more for an advanced audience if the first webinar was a little bit more of an overview, and I can actually hand that out to you now. It will prompt you to download. So you will be given this file now. Let's see, hopefully it will be sent to you. And if it didn't, we are also posting it online. Okay. So that will also be posted online to Eagle Mind, but it goes through all the different sections, telling you about what target audiences are, how do you create content, and there's a lot of places that you can read because, again, an hour is not enough time to go through everything. So you can provide, have more information on marketing channels, timing, goals, all these different things that you need to know to market your business. So today we'll be talking about third-party platforms. Essentially, these are platforms that are not ones that you own. So they're managed and operated by other people, but they are very helpful to reaching your different customers. So to kick things off, like last time, I just want to hear from you, which platforms are you currently using? So if you could answer in the poll option, it'll be put on your screen. So just mark the ones you're using, and if you're not using these because they don't pertain to your business, that's fine. You can just click none of the above. So I'll give you a few more seconds here to complete the poll so we can hear what everyone's using. And while you're doing this, just as a reminder, feel free to click on the hand icon to ask any questions if you have any, or in the chat option or questions box. I will definitely help you with that at the end or during if it's a burning question. Okay, so it looks like we can close the poll here. So, wow, these are really interesting results. So there's 0 of you on Yelp, which is very surprising to me, but based on the kinds of businesses I saw sign up, maybe that's pretty normal. 50% of you are on Google Business, which is great. That's a very important platform for any business. 10% of you are on TripAdvisor, 80% on Facebook, and 20% of you are on none of these platforms. So hopefully for the 20% of you, maybe I can convince you to at least go on Google Business and maybe one other platform today. So thanks for sharing your responses. So the platforms I'll be going over today are Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor, and Facebook. This is definitely not an exhaustive list of all the different platforms. These are just the ones that tend to be the most important for small businesses of a certain kind, and especially in tourism. If you're in a different industry, for example, healthcare or some other kind of business, there are review sites all over the internet. So if you're in healthcare, ZocDoc. If you're a doctor, OpenTable for restaurants, Booking.com for hotels, Angie's List for all sorts of different services. If you're in the recreation industry and you're a trail manager, All Trails and Trail Forks are popular sites for different hikers and things like that. But it's important to know before you start this process which platforms are most relevant to your industry. I'll be focusing on the ones that matter the most for tourism, but if you're not a tourism business, I've included different examples from different industries so that hopefully you'll find it relevant. So why are we even talking about this? It's a huge business. So 97% of people read reviews for local businesses before they go. That's basically everyone. So you want to make sure that you have reviews about your business, and you want to make sure they're good. And this is kind of combined with social media because these are sort of social review sites, especially like Facebook is a social media site. So 3.8 billion people are active social media users. So combining these two things together, you have people reading online reviews and people using social media. You know that this is a very important part of how business is done. And I'm not talking about big Fortune 500 companies. I'm talking about small businesses really leverage this. So when it comes to tourism specifically, 85% of travelers don't decide on what they're doing until they've gotten there. So if you are a restaurant or even a flower shop or a boutique, they're not thinking about, 5 days in advance what they're going to do when they get there. They're going to pull up their smartphone like this guy in the picture and find out what's near me, what can I do, where can I get flowers, where can I buy groceries or get dinner right there. So if you aren't on these applications with your address marked in so they can find what's nearby, then chances are you won't be frequented by these travelers or future customers. So why do local review sites matter to your customer? They're relevant. User reviews are one of the most important, if not the most important kind of online content for shopping right now, especially among millennials like myself. We read reviews for everything before we buy it. I even look at, every restaurant so I can see which dishes I should order. So it is helpful to have user reviews. It's kind of like a test drive for any business that you have. You can't really test drive a restaurant without going there, but you can actually read other people's experiences and hopefully they mirror your own. They are more trustworthy, or they're perceived to be more trustworthy than any other content. So you could say that you are the best in your industry or the best in your town, but the customer isn't necessarily going to believe you because you have an agenda there to get you to get people to come to your business. It meets their needs. Customers are looking for location-based trustworthy information. Like I said, they're in the moment, they're here right now, they want to know what's near me, and this meets their needs. And it's growing. It's growing more and more every day. This is a little bit of an old data point, but just TripAdvisor alone has grown to 660 million reviews, and there are new contributions posted every minute. So it's really growing, and there are more and more every day. It's also really important for context. So you're really able to market to the customer while they're in a certain mindset. So they're looking for, in COVID times, for example, a hotel that is practicing coronavirus protocols and they can feel safe in. So they just go on TripAdvisor and they see, oh, wow, this person is, this hotel marked that they're doing XYZ things, I can book them right away. And they're already searching for your business. So it makes things a lot easier for you and the customer. Why do local review sites matter to your business? Just for the 20% of you who are on these platforms right now, or maybe those of you that want to expand your presence, these websites are already very widely used by your current and future customers. So you don't have to force them to go to your website or try to get them to read a magazine that you're advertising in or whatever you're doing. They're already using them, and it's part of their everyday daily behavior. So it makes it a lot easier for you. You can use positive reviews and pictures for your marketing. A lot of businesses successfully do this, and they pull out Yelp reviews or TripAdvisor reviews or even Instagram photos, and they showcase their business through the content of their customers, which is very effective. You can monitor performance. Maybe you launch something new for coronavirus curbside pickup or online delivery, and you don't know how it's going, but you can see in the customer reviews that they're commenting, wow, what a great service, curbside was so seamless. You can see how you're doing and adjust your performance based on that. You can also improve your quality. So if the performance isn't going well, you can find out from negative reviews, okay, that specific thing isn't working well. How can we adjust what we're doing and make it better? You can also find out what your competitors are doing, which is pretty awesome. There's a lot of information out there, and if you have a competitor that's doing really well, you can find out why they're doing well, what customers are saying about them, and why they're kind of getting all your business. It's also becoming a more important channel right now for customers to research the COVID response that businesses are happening. And customers are commenting on this, and I'll show you examples of that a little bit later, how businesses are handling the COVID protocols. Understandably, this is extremely challenging for all of you trying to navigate this, and customers are talking about that in their responses, so it's a good thing to be aware of, and it allows you to spotlight your COVID response. So all of the platforms that I'm going to share with you have actually launched different fields that you can fill out to say what you're actually doing for health and sanitation protocols. And lastly, we talked about this last time, it does boost your search engine optimization. Essentially, it allows Google to find you more easily. Because these websites all link to your own website, Google considers that to be a higher quality website because of backlinking. So it does allow you to have a little bit more search engine presence. So that's another benefit just by itself. So before we go into each platform, I think it's very important to understand what you need to get started and to think about what you're going to say on all these different platforms and to be consistent from your website to your social media to the different platforms. You want to think about, your proper business name. I can't tell you how many times I see businesses spelled differently across platforms. Some include LLCs, some don't. Some use different capitalizations. This is an important thing to be consistent across all channels. You want to have a boilerplate around your business. Essentially what that means is just a short, snappy description of your business and what sets you apart. You want to have updated hours of operation, well-lit, high-resolution photos. We talked about this a lot last time. Very few businesses have well-lit, high-resolution photos. Most of you, I think, have smartphones, so this is something you can do on your phone. I offered a lot of different resources for this in our last call, how you can edit your photos to make them look more presentable, and that will be sent back out. But please make sure you have high resolution images. If you have a menu or different products or services you want to list, make sure you have those item descriptions ready on a separate piece of paper before you upload them so that you don't make any mistakes. Have your COVID operation notes for your industry and what you're doing. And then lastly, you want to think about how you're going to manage these channels. You don't just set up your presence and forget about them. You do need to go in there and make sure they're updated, engage with customers and all of that. And I'll show a little bit of what that looks like. To help you get started with this, I've actually created a separate marketing worksheet just with different empty fields. It's very basic, but just to prompt you to fill out all these different things, to spell check it, to check it against your website before you update your presence on these different platforms so that you can make sure that it's consistent and reflecting your business well. So I'm going to start with Google because Google is one of the most important platforms for small business listings. Here are some of the reasons why you should care about Google and why you should be on Google My Business. Essentially, Google My Business is a consolidated place for all the things that you would do with Google for your business. So it's the place where you have your Google business listing, Google Map post, Google AdWords, and paid search or any sort of media if you're doing any paid media. So it's a nice consolidated place. Today I'm just focusing on your business listing, but it all falls under the suite of Google My Business. So it's important to keep in mind that Google My Business is the top thing that shows up in search, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But 46% of Google searches are for local businesses. So they're not all these different businesses around the world necessarily. So if 46% of people are searching for what's going on in their local area, then your business could pop up during that time. Sadly, more than half of businesses have not claimed their listings. That means that you have a skeleton listing or poor photos or nothing there with just an address and maybe a phone number that doesn't work. So you want to go claim your listing. It is free. On the mobile app, searches for businesses near me have exploded as well. So people are using their phone and the GPS and they're looking for restaurants near me, and Google will pull that up. So you want to make sure, again, that you are part of that. Because Google is also a search engine, it's an integral part of search engine optimization. It's one of the best ways to get online visibility for a small business. And also, a lot of websites license Google Maps, and it feeds into thousands of websites. like I said before, it appears after paid advertising and before organic content. So what that means is if you have your website and you've done a good job of getting it to show up, the Google My Business listings will come up before your own website, but after content that people have paid for in advertising. And it allows you to manage everything all in one place, which is really important. So here's an example of what this looks like. If you're a boutique owner in Marquette, you can Google boutiques in Marquette, and here's a handful of business listings that come to the top. Of course, there's more than 3 boutiques in Marquette, but they show kind of the highest quality ones first, and I'll show you an example of why. You'll see here that Travel Marquette is doing a good job with SEO, and their website is listed right at the bottom, but Google still prefers their own content. So just because you're doing a good job with your own website, doesn't mean that you're going to be seen, because these boutiques right here are being shown first. So if you click into Blackbird Boutique, you'll see that there's some really nice reviews about the boutique here that other people are saying, and that Blackbird actually talked about who they are here. So they actually had a chance to comment. So I got a sense of who they were, not just from the reviews, but from the business itself, which is really important. This is a fun, short, snappy introduction to the business. They also took the time to showcase their actual products on their business listing. This is not necessarily appropriate for all businesses, and it might be time consuming because things get sold, but they do have different products here, different kind of scarves. So you do have a sense of, okay, I know what's going to be offered there when I come into the store. Then you also have, I picked a flower shop, so I Googled flower shops in Marquette. I pulled up this one, Boasberg's New Leaf. And you see here the pictures. I thought I'd spend a little bit of time on pictures because it seems very basic, but it's actually often not done very well. So I went through all the pictures that were included in this local flower shop. It does have pretty good reviews. It has their operations here. And here are the pictures. So a flower shop, you would imagine, would have lots of pictures of very beautiful flowers. So this shop has some images of the outside of the flower shop. This could have been uploaded by them or by a customer, so we're not sure. But the first photo that you see of this flower shop is this image. And I want you to tell me what you think about this image and if you think this is a good way to market that business. So if you can, just type in the chat or in the questions box and say what you think of this photo. I'll give you a minute to do that. Think about how this gives an impression of your business here. Yeah, so someone said the foundation needs some work. That's actually the first thing I thought of. It looks like this business is, the building itself is kind of falling apart. There's some chip paint. There's issues with the foundation. That's not necessarily the best thing to communicate. So because of time, I'm just going to press on. But yeah, this building has chip paint. It has poor lighting. The photo itself is poorly cropped and edited. You don't really need all this stuff off to the left here. That doesn't really help you market your business. So you could have done a tighter shot, with a little bit of a brighter filter and some more editing. I'm sorry I'm picking on this business, but it just helps to illustrate a point. Here's the interior of the flower shop. If you want to share your thoughts with me on what you think of this photo, the lighting, the composition, any thoughts here? Hopefully you're all going through this exercise with your own photos after this and thinking about, how this represents your business. So I'll give you another second to respond here. There's a chat box at the bottom. You can just type in your thoughts there. Or raise your hand and I can unmute you. Okay. So this photo is very busy. I mean, it has a lot of different things going on. It's hard for your eye to focus. It looks kind of messy, like it's not actually a messy store, but just because it's so busy, it doesn't really pop out at you. It has poor composition and bad lighting. So you'd want to do a closer up shot. You want to make sure the sun isn't in front of you, so it kind of has that gauzy light coming through. The next photo is a really nice idea. It's a picture of their awards, which is great. And I like the idea behind this photo. However, you can see some garbage here on the floor, some string. You know, it's not necessarily the best photo. It's poor background and lighting. So if you had a better light and closer up, you can't really read what the awards say. So you know that they won something, but you're not exactly sure what they won. And then lastly, there's this photo of flowers. So it takes you 4 photos to get to photo flowers, which is what they offer. This looks like a nice bouquet, but it's not well lit. Again, there's a lot of things in the background. So you'd want to have this kind of floral arrangement by itself. You want to set it up alone, use natural light, and zoom in. So these are just some things to think about when you're posting your photos for Google, but this really applies to any of the different platforms. But Google is a very visual platform, like a lot of these sites, so it's important to have good images at the outset. And sometimes when you don't claim your business listing, which is the case with a lot of businesses, is you just have whatever photos customers take and upload, and sometimes those aren't the best because they're not marketing your business. So then you just get stuck with these bad marketing photos at the front of your business. So that's another important reason why you should claim your listings and, you know, take control of that message. Okay, so moving on, thinking about that platform, and again, I'm providing you with a step-by-step guide as a follow-up. So how do you want to be successful on Google Places during COVID and with Google My Business? You want to make sure you write your introduction and what sets you apart. Don't leave this section blank. One, if you leave it blank, you're not going to come up in search because Google has nothing to search for, so you're not going to be served. The more complete your listing is with more information to answer search queries, the better you'll do. So 75% of searches are actually questions or queries using technical SEO terms. So the more you fill out, the more likely you're going to get served for an appropriate search. So if someone is looking for flower shop in Marquette, and you don't have anywhere in your profile that says flowers or flower shop, then you're not going to get served, and someone else who does is going to get selected. Make sure you have your right address and latitude and longitude in there, because a lot of times either the address was pulled from something else or the pinpoint on the map is wrong because the address doesn't correspond to actually where your storefront is. So making sure to populate both things will make it, 1, easier for someone to find your business when they go there physically, but 2, better for your business to be served when people are doing location-based searches. This is extremely important. Make sure your website and phone number are, your website is functional and your phone number actually works. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to call phone numbers, Google business listings, and they don't work. This is critical right now during COVID. A lot of customers will not feel comfortable going into a business because they have questions about how they're operating, and if they don't answer the phone, they might not come. There's an option once you register to verify your business with Google. This does make you look like you've taken more steps as a business, and it gives you some additional features. When you actually sign up for Google Business, you verify and they'll mail you something. So this could take you some time, but I would definitely go through that process and verify your business. It's pretty easy. You receive a little piece of paper with a code, and then you go in and verify your business. Make sure you include updated operation information and health protocols on your listing. There's options for that that Google Businesses has. Again, high quality photos. I keep saying this, but I've looked at a lot of photos of businesses in the area, and there's still a lack of high quality photos. You want to make sure to have your products, services, or a menu included, or just a snippet of it, something that's consistent so you don't have to go crazy updating it all the time if you don't have the staff. Just include kind of your cornerstone or main services there so people know what to expect. And then again, encourage people to write reviews when they come in. So I know that was a lot of information, but I'm gonna have to move on to Yelp because we only have an hour here. So Yelp is a very popular local business app. It's an app and a website. It's for all kinds of small businesses. If you're not, it doesn't seem like a lot of you are familiar with it on the call based on no one being on this platform, but your chances are your business is already on this platform because Yelp does automatically populate local business profiles, or customers can actually create one for you when they write a review. They do have a lot of customers on Yelp, 73 million unique monthly users on mobile, and over 100 million on desktop. The really important thing about Yelp is if people are going to Yelp, they're going there because they know that they want to buy something. They're not going there to, flip through Instagram or chat with people on text message. They're going because I need to go to this store, this restaurant, I need this service, and they're typing in that service into Yelp. So you'll see 97% of people buy from local businesses they discover on Yelp because they have the business shopping mindset. They also compare other businesses. So they're typing in, boutiques on Yelp, and they look, okay, this boutique has this boutique has that. They're going to pick one based on that. So most of those people are actually comparing. And so how you're presented on Yelp and how you market yourself makes a difference of whether or not you get that customers. Yelp has done a really great job supporting the small business community during the coronavirus. They've launched a whole help center with advice from other businesses that I'm going to link to in your resources. You'll definitely see that. They also have sections of your profile, which I'll show in a second, that lets you share what you're doing. And they've offered free business page upgrades for businesses that remain open during COVID. This is a big deal because Yelp usually charges for everything except for, of course, the basic profile. So I would definitely take advantage of that while it's free. You do need to be careful with Yelp because sometimes they do try to charge you for things. So just make sure that you're opting into the free options. And I also explain that in the handout. So like I said, 97% of people are making a purchase after they visit Yelp, and 90% of people purchase within a week. So this is pretty time-sensitive purchases, especially for people that are looking for something right now. And 51% of people purchase within a day. So this is a pretty good indicator of when people are ready to buy. These are the kind of businesses that are on Yelp. So a lot of restaurants, and it's kind of when Yelp got really famous and criticized for people kind of writing different reviews on Yelp. So there's restaurants, home and local services, shopping, beauty and fitness, health, auto, travel. There's really almost everything on Yelp. So I would be surprised if your business isn't already on there. So here's an example of a restaurant near me. I'm based outside of San Francisco. I was looking for somewhere safe to get takeout the other day, and I was very impressed by this business's profile. So they did a good job filling out everything here that they're doing for COVID. So they have outdoor seating, delivery, takeout, sit-down dining, and they list all the different things they're doing for health and safety measures. So I think this is really great to see from a business right now, especially if you're a little concerned. We have a small baby, so we've been kind of on the stricter side of things. So it's great to see that a business is doing that. And I think that's one part of these online review websites is you'll see what they're doing. The really wonderful thing about this business is that you'll actually see the customers are talking about what a good job they're doing. So they're kind of promising that they're doing this. And then one of the customers said, this restaurant's great, the food is great, but the restaurant has done the best job practicing social distancing. So you know that they're actually delivering on what they're promising. So you kind of trust that business that they're doing that, but when you see a customer saying that they're doing that, that makes me feel really confident as a consumer that I know I'm going to be safe eating here. So it's kind of two sides of the coin that you market your business and then you follow through on that promise by getting those user reviews that are saying, yeah, I went here and it was great and it was safe. So that's why it's especially important during the coronavirus pandemic. So how do you market your business on Yelp during COVID or otherwise? So the first step, like all of these platforms, is to claim your business online. Sounds like all of you need to do that. And if you haven't, you need to start one. You want to respond to customers' reviews, good and bad. Responding to negative reviews can actually improve your business outcomes because those customers will feel heard, and other customers, when they read those reviews, will see that the business owner took that concern seriously. You want to verify your address and contact information. Again, fill out your profile completely. I'm kind of like a broken record here. It's pretty consistent across the platforms. You want to make sure your address and contact information is correct. Fill out your profile. Check all the relevant business categories. So if you're a restaurant, click restaurant and the type of cuisine you offer. You want to make sure that you let people know that you're on Yelp. So don't outright ask them for positive reviews, but let them know you're on Yelp. Use their logo on your menus, on the doors, on your website, that kind of thing. And again, make sure to update your profile with the selected fields for health and safety protocols. So I know I'm covering a lot of material here, so I'm just going to pause if you guys have some questions, so feel free to type them in or save time at the end. So I'm going to move on to TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is the world's largest travel website. This is the only website of the ones I'm showing today that pertains specifically to travel. But if you do have a business that tourists are interested in, like a boutique, like a flower shop, especially hotels and things like that, you could have a listing on TripAdvisor. It's also free. All of these websites are free, and they have paid features of them. So it's the largest travel website. Like Yelp, people only go to TripAdvisor when they are traveling. They don't just go on there to browse different businesses. So you're reaching that customer in the travel shopping mindset that they're in. They have 455 million monthly active users. Their bookings account for $546 billion of the global tourism spend. So this is a pretty sizable audience that's actually spending money on this platform. Their TripAdvisor is extremely important for high cost items. So when people are worried about making a bad decision, like, going on a safari or spending $1,000 on an expedition at, on the Great Lakes or something, they're going to read reviews on TripAdvisor before making that purchase. And specifically for hotels, I know we have a few hotels on the line. 57% of hotel bookers visit TripAdvisor before making a purchase. So they read about that hotel, they see how it's performing, especially now during COVID, and they see what they're doing for COVID because they have special features that were launched. And you're able to read about those reviews before you make that, $100, $200, $300 a night purchase. So it's very important to build customer confidence. They've also launched other special features. So if your business is closed during COVID, it allows you to actually turn it off on TripAdvisor, so you don't get negative reviews for being closed. Another important thing about TripAdvisor and a lot of these different review sites is you have this kind of virtuous circle of guest engagement, as it's called. This is a graph that was made by TripAdvisor that I worked on with them for a report. So the traveler books the hotel. The hotel asks the guest to talk about their stay. The hotel looks at the guest feedback. The hotel makes improvements to the hotel based on the feedback. This is, of course, in an ideal world. Then when the hotel makes improvements based on the feedback, then you get better reviews on TripAdvisor, which means more people see you because the best reviewed properties are brought to the top, and then more people find your hotel on TripAdvisor. And then you get more bookings. So this is really a virtuous circle for all types of platforms, which is why I've included it here, because it really applies to any of these websites that have user comments. So on Yelp, the best reviewed businesses go to the top. On Google, the best reviewed businesses go to the top. So if you are asking for reviews, getting feedback, making improvements, then getting better reviews, you're going to get more bookings. So it just goes all together. This reputation management really helps your business. How can you market yourself on TripAdvisor during COVID? So TripAdvisor launched another COVID response section like Yelp. They address travelers' concerns by telling you to include, the frequency of room and common area cleaning, additional cleaning products available to guests, self-service check-in kiosks, and other contactless service optimizations. What that really means is, are there ways for people to check in without you being there? So when I was traveling, for example, we booked hotels with keyless entry so that we wouldn't come into contact with different guests. And then we're also asking what hygiene practices your staff is doing. You can include contact information for questions. Contact information is really important now because people are going to have questions, like I said, and you can include a maximum of 1,000 characters here. So just to see what that might look like, here's an example from the Country Inn and Suites by Radisson in Marquette. This is a corporate hotel, so this is a little bit more of a corporate response, but just to elicit, just to show that example. So you'll see right away up here at the top in green, update from that hotel. The property has indicated they are taking safety precautions against COVID. So you'll see that. You'll also see their nice, beautiful photos here when they're available, the different offers. So you still see all the other components of TripAdvisor, but you'll see the COVID response at the top. Then you click into the COVID response, and then you'll see a note from the hotel talking to you about what they're doing. You have the option to ask them a question here or write a review about what they're doing. I think the really important thing here is that it shows that they're keeping current. This was updated July 21st, 2020. So that wasn't that long ago. It shows that this hotel is not only taking this seriously, but they keep updating what they're doing. And you know that they're a welcoming place for guests here. So marketing on TripAdvisor during COVID. So outside of that section where you have to update what you're doing for COVID, you can also update your amenities on TripAdvisor to say what's actually offered. Maybe you're a hair salon and you used to offer wine and tea with guests when they came in, but now you can't do that because of COVID health and safety protocols. You might want to update that so that guests know before coming in that you don't offer those things right now, unfortunately, because it's not allowed. You might want to refresh your description to better describe what's going on currently, and if you've launched new products to meet the demands of COVID, you want to say so. You can add new pictures showing people wearing masks or other things so that you can have people feel more comfortable when they come in and also expect to be wearing masks. You want to, again, engage with customers and respond to reviews. This is so important, but especially now during COVID. Of course, fill out the coronavirus response section, update contact information for customers' concerns. So if you can see on this last page here, this business used like their 800 number. A customer is not going to want to call their 800 number and press 17 times to get to someone at the hotel. You want to make sure you put in your direct line. I know a lot of you aren't in a corporate hotel environment, but make sure you include the best contact information. And you want to share deals and offers if you have any to get people to come in. So now we're going to go on to Facebook here. So Facebook is a social media site. Most of the world is on it. I'm not going to be talking about Facebook as a social media site here. That's a webinar onto itself alone. I'm just going to be talking about Facebook and Facebook reviews briefly. So Facebook has 1.8 million daily active users. Most of half of the world's social media users are on Facebook. I would imagine most of you on the line are. 19% of all business reviews everywhere, this is an estimate of course, but is on Facebook. So it is a pretty large platform for reviews. The #1 review site is Google and the #2 is Facebook. So this is an important site to keep in mind. The really nice thing about Facebook for a business is Google actually prompts you to write a review about a business if it's known that you've gone there. It's a little bit stalkery. So you go somewhere, I upload a photo that I went to this restaurant and here's my meal. Facebook automatically says, hey, tell me about your experience, write a review. I think this is why they've gotten so many reviews. But it does make sure that the posts are very seamless and that you've actually gone there. So this is just going to be growing more and more. This has a great reach and potential. A lot of you are already using Facebook, as you said, so something to keep in mind. And if you aren't using Facebook, you can't really use this to maximum potential without having a presence on Facebook first. So what does that look like from a business perspective? Hot Plate Pottery and Art Studio. I saw you registered. I'm not sure if you're on the line, but I thought I would call you out. So this is Hot Plate's Facebook page. They have excellent reviews. 4.9 out of 5. Here are some of the wonderful reviews that people have said about the business, that it was fun, that they did a variety of different classes. They have some nice photos here at the top, which you can't see. But Facebook brings the most helpful reviews to the top, which is nice. So this is an example of what they might look like if you weren't aware of the reviews existing on Facebook. Here's the home page of your page, and if you go to the right and click on more, you'll see reviews there. So if you didn't know, you might have some reviews lurking there. Although Facebook does notify you every time you get a new review, so chances are you've seen them. There are a lot of other features on the Facebook page that you can fill out. Here are some of the features that Hot Plate filled out about their business. They have the boilerplate down here. They have their Instagram handle, their contact information, which is great, their website, their opening hours, and their categories. You'll see that over 2,000 people checked in here, so you know people are coming, and that's why they were able to get so many reviews. I would like to see some coronavirus updates here just during this time frame so people know. I know it's on their website, but it's always good to hit all your bases. But they did a great job filling everything out. They have photos and they have nice reviews. So this is an example of what this might look like for you. So how do you market yourself on Facebook during COVID? You want to follow social media best practices again, which I'm not covering today, but make sure that you're updating, using compelling content, high quality photos, all of that. Make sure that you're adding new content and talking about what's going on. So Beryl and Beam also signed up. I'm not sure if you're on the line. I was looking through their Facebook page and I wasn't able to see if there was anything different going on for COVID or not, but it looks like they have an outdoor beer garden, so maybe it's kind of business as usual. But make sure you're adding new content and updating what's different. So you can say, hey, our new summer beers are out. Please enjoy them on our beer garden patio or whatever is going on. Make sure to add new images of new product and social distancing, masks, etc. This is a good time to use the messaging feature to engage with new customers if you're not using it. There's the messaging feature off here to the right. It pulls up the chat box on Facebook messaging. You can talk with people there. You also want to flag new happenings with the event feature, which is great. And there are definitely other options there. So Facebook, as far as marketing during COVID, is the least robust in the way that other websites have been as far as listings, but Facebook has tons of marketing features and advertising that are just a little bit different and more social media based. So I wanted to ask you all, now that we've gone through all these different review sites, how many of you actually read your reviews? Of course, this is anonymous, so let me know how often you read your reviews and if you knew that you had online reviews that maybe you didn't know about. This would bring awareness. So do you read them daily, weekly, monthly, never? Okay, so we're still getting some responses in. I'll give you one more second to respond here. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and share results. This is really great to see. So we see 20% of you read them daily. That's great. 40% of you read them weekly, which is also great. 40% of you read them monthly. I definitely encourage you to read them more often so you can kind of keep abreast of what's going on and make updates in real time. But it's really great that no one said never. So that's wonderful that all of you are paying attention to what's being said about your business and managing your online reputations. So I'm going to close this off and bring us home here. I did want to say a few more things about kind of online platforms during coronavirus that might be helpful to you. So when you're talking about the different reviews, who's reading those reviews? How are you responding to them? Do those people have proper training? Is it you that's responding to them? Is it a high school student that works for you that's kind of responding to reviews? Could that put you at risk? So those are things that you want to think about as far as your online reputation management. Are they engaging with customers about COVID-related concerns and operations? Have you given them talking points and things that they're supposed to say so you know they're consistent and following through with what you're promising? These are things to keep in mind as far as managing your presence online. And if you do have a lot of people on your staff, which I can imagine that some of you have a smaller staff, thinking about what that process looks like and what the messaging points are. Also, to make sure to respond to negative reviews, even though it's counterintuitive, to address those concerns and improve your performance. You can learn from those reviews some of the time. Sometimes they're just negative, but a lot of times you can learn from them, and to boost customer confidence. There are two more things I wanted to mention before we open it up for questions, just because they aren't exactly online reviews, but they are ways for you to get content and get a sense of what's going on about your business. I see a lot of you are on Instagram. They don't have reviews, but it is a great sort of source of content about your business, a way to find beautiful images, to see what's being said about you, and to engage with your customers. It is connected with Facebook. It's part of the Facebook brand of social media platforms, so you can get some insights from that. Here are just a couple of examples of ways that you can leverage Instagram. So if you look at this business, Flowerworks LLC, they also signed up for the webinar today. You can type in the name of your business and pull up all the content that's been posted at your location. So not posted to your account, but you can go by location, which I would imagine a lot of you know, but in case you don't, then you can see, wow, this was a really nice photo that someone took in my business, and maybe I can ask them for permission to use it and use it in my marketing. This looks very stylized. Maybe I can talk about, photographers coming in and having photo shoots here, or whatever it is. but it is a way for you to find new high quality photos about your business if you haven't already been doing this. You do need to ask for permission, comment on the photo, and ask for permission to reshare. There are various ways to do that, but something to keep in mind. Lastly, I wanted to bring up this trend that's becoming really popular during COVID, which are virtual tourism experiences. So some of you might have businesses that don't really seem to jive well with social distancing, but you do want to share your product or your story or your expertise, or you want to reach tourists or customers that are not in your local area and won't be coming there for a long time. This is more of a trend to keep a watch for, and maybe see if your business is a good fit for it. But people have been using platforms like Airbnb experiences to take different tours all around the world. It's basically going on a tour that would have been in person and taking it via Zoom or from your computer. It's a live conversation with your guest and host, and it's usually on one theme for about an hour. The different platforms that offer them, Airbnb is the biggest platform and kind of the most well-known, where you can take these experiences here. This is just a screenshot from Airbnb. You can also find them on Eventbrite, and some businesses are just doing them from Zoom. So I've seen a lot of wineries and breweries and things like that doing tastings on Zoom, where they'll drop off or do curbside of their products so people can pick them up. And instead of having a face-to-face tasting, they have all the people at home doing their tastings, and then they're doing the tasting notes and everything over the phone or over Zoom. So that's something to keep in mind. So before we close off, I just wanted to ask you about if you've taken any virtual tourism experiences or even considered it. Here's a screenshot from one I took yesterday. This was a virtual tour of the Vatican with Franco, our licensed guide, who was actually really awesome. And he took us through the Vatican right from my own computer, which was pretty cool, and also nice because there was no one bumping into me and trying to take, their picture over my head. So it was a nice way to digest that really beautiful site. So I'm just going to ask you this before we close out. So have you taken a virtual tourism experience? Are you interested in them? Would you be open to it? You've never heard of it, or maybe you just done some Zoom happy hours. There's no wrong answers here. This is a very new trend and something that you should consider, as the coronavirus pandemic endures. If you do have, especially, a business like a brewery or something that you can drop off food, that would be good to know and share. So I'll give you one more minute to respond here, and then we can close things out. Okay. Wow, so it looks like some of you have done several tours. That's great. 50% of you haven't, but they would be open to it. So something to think about. I am actually working with a couple of entrepreneurs on putting their tourism businesses online. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer questions if you're considering it. Some of you have never heard of it, which is very understandable because this is a new field. And some of you have kind of already been doing it with Zoom happy hour. I know those are pretty popular. I've been doing them, I'm sure, people all over, just as a way to connect. So this is more just food for thought if you're thinking about a way to get more business while you have limited operations and expand your reach. Maybe people come see you on Zoom, and then in a year or two come to your business in person when they can come back and travel again. Okay, so a little summary, because we did go over a lot of information today, but you will be getting handouts and a recording, so don't worry. You want to claim your listings, making sure that you're in charge of what's being said about your business. Fill out all of your baseline descriptions and categories and images completely. Research your presence on popular websites for your industry or business. So if you aren't, supposed to be on TripAdvisor or Yelp, maybe there are other websites that are more appropriate for your industry that you should be on, and you might already have a presence there. Monitor what's being said about you. So some of you said that you are reading actually all of you said that you are reading your reviews at some point in time. Make sure you read them regularly enough that you can actually make changes. So if you wait a whole month to change a product offering and you're getting negative reviews about it, that's a month of time that you could be missing out on customers. So make sure to adapt. Make sure everything is up to date for COVID. So again, this is kind of a weird time, but this is the period of time to be very vigilant about what's being said about your business and what's actually in operation, because you don't want someone to come in and for them to be upset, not get what they want, and then to write a negative review, especially since you all are working extra and overtime to make sure that things are happening smoothly. So you want to make sure that they understand what to expect when they come in. And you want to think about who you're working with. So this is not said enough, but if you're working with a lot of other people on your team, are you training them to use this technology? Are you telling them what things to say? So this does require some training, either for yourself or for your staff, to fill out these profiles properly, update and manage them. So that's all I have for you today. I do want to have a couple of words from Megan before I open it up for questions. Hi, Megan.
Hi, sorry, this takes a minute. So just wanted to again thank everybody for joining us today, and thank you again to Talia. This was great. My parents own a small business, and I have a lot to call my mom and dad and tell them about. You guys aren't doing any of this stuff, so thank you. It was great. And then all of the materials today will be posted on our website. Like Talia said, the link is listed there at eaglemind.com/resources. So I hope that everyone found value in today's session. And please let me know if there's anything that EagleMind or Accelerate UP can do to better support you in the business community during these recovery efforts. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan. And just to go over some of the resources so that you know what's there. The recording is now available from webinar 1 that you can see. It's not yet posted to EagleMind's website, but you should have received it if you registered. The marketing resources handout was sent also last week. This session is being recorded, and then you'll be receiving a marketing worksheet and a step-by-step guide to these different platforms via email in the next few days. So once all of the recordings are done and the resources are finished, everything will be posted to this website, but you should be receiving them in email. But we wanted you to have a place to access them because there's a lot of material here. And there's a lot more research for you to do on your own at home that we can't cover in an hour, because you see here we're almost right about out of time. But there is a lot of information, and for those of you who haven't claimed your listings, or those of you who have, the handouts actually show the screenshots of what you should see when you sign up, links to more information, so it should be pretty seamless, or at least I hope so. Okay, so now our presentation is over. Thank you so much for listening and joining this afternoon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, or raise your hands now and ask your questions, or put it in the chat box, whichever is best for you, and I'm happy to answer them. I know there's a variety of different businesses on the line, so people all have different operating procedures and industries and people you're trying to reach during this time. So I'm happy to answer the questions to the best of my abilities here. So what is the best practice for responding to negative online reviews? One of the best practices is to make sure to thank the customer for their concern. So you want to be gracious in receiving online reviews, and if it's not you that's actually able to address that concern, a lot of times, especially hotels, will say, you know, thank you for this concern. We're sorry you had this experience. We're looking into this with management, and we'll look to address. A lot of times, businesses will actually compensate that customer somehow, you know, give them a discount off their next stay. So that's something that happens in online reviews, or a discount code for their next visit. It is important to be mindful that there are some trolls out there that might be, you know, saying negative things just so they can get free things next time. And I actually did have that experience with one of the hotels I worked with, where I was, you know, managing their online reviews on Facebook, and this person, apparently every hotel they stay in, they have the same complaint, and it's been kind of an issue. But you still have to be gracious and thank them for their feedback, and make sure you do elevate that issue to management, because there could be something actually functionally wrong with that guest room, or there's something wrong with their food. So you do want to elevate that. So make sure that you respond nicely, you address their concern, and then you elevate the concern to your higher ups or whoever's in charge of that process that they're commenting on. Any other questions about third-party review sites or platforms? There's a lot of information out there, so if you do have questions after you've received the materials, and there's some things that you're not sure about, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to guide you through the process. So I'm going to wait one more minute for questions, and if not, then I will end the webinar today. It was so wonderful to be with you guys this morning in spirit here from California. I hope that you got a lot of value out of this, and thank you again to Megan and Eagle Mine for giving me this opportunity to share some marketing tips. Okay, well, we have no other questions, so hopefully you guys are all doing well, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.